This is the capstone of being a trust expert, especially for especially for those of you who are financial planners, because you will be many times called on to work with the attorneys to come up with the investment plan. The attorneys are not generally very knowledgeable about investments, and they don't really do very well dealing with brokers, and therefore it becomes common for the attorney to turn to the financial planner who they know and who are sort of communicate very well with, saying, all right, we have to have an investment plan for the trust. And that's what we're going to be working on as what I call a term project. It's the first part of the term, or another way of putting it, it's the midterm project, it's probably a better way of putting it, or the capstone on trust. But it's designed for what a financial planner has to do. And that doesn't matter if you're advising the attorney or advising the trustee. If you're acting as a trustee, that is what we're going to be emphasizing. Good. The investment plan must be appropriate for the objective and the policy statement of the trust. It must be at the appropriate level of risk, and we have to consider the needs of the beneficiaries. Now, this isn't done in a matter of minutes. I do look at other documents that have been before, looking at the plans, and I certainly feel that your textbook gives you everything you need. The textbook is designed for financial planners who have this type of situation, and therefore should help you. We have to be concerned about inappropriate investments. The rule holds that no particular type of property or type of investment is inherently imprudent for use in a trust. However, the critical criteria should be the objectives of the trust and the needs of the beneficiaries. So you have to see what is the trust talking about. Again, this is many times written by attorneys who know nothing about brokerage. They know nothing about investments, and they use words that they found someplace else, just like I did. The rule, investment rule, holds that a risk investment may be appropriate for some trust if it's a risk level suitable to the objectives of the trust. And what are you trying to achieve? Our student assignment is that we have a trust investment policy. The goal is a long-term growth of the portfolio, with objectives being the start of the business in 20 years. Income, if any, is to be reinvested. And I say if any because we may not have paying income, because again, if we pay income, it's going to get taxed at the highest tax rates. Does that make sense? Goals are using only growth, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ common stocks. And the details of this situation are the instructor narrative that we provide you each week to help you understand the material. And so you go to your reading material, that's where you find the instructor narrative, and I'll give the actual case of the client. And the idea being that it gives you the opportunity to actually apply this information. Again, you have to rely very heavily on your textbook to get the information you need to put together this policy. We do not want you making a procedure. We want you to do the policy. The procedure will be done, could be done by you, but it's secondary to the policy. Typically, it should be the person who actually makes the investment advisor, who will do the actual writing of the procedures. Summary. In this lesson, you learn about the difference between an investment policy and an investment plan. The investment policy is always the duty of the trustee, and typically the attorney or financial planner are the ones who actually do it for the trustee. As you can figure out, if a person is just a professional fiduciary, they really don't have the technical skills to be able to come up with this investment policy. The investment plan can be delegated, and it's typically delegated to the individual who's going to do the investments. And the steps involved in creating an investment policy is what we want you to understand, and that's what you're going to actually be doing on. It's a significant part of your grade. I think it's probably the most fun part of the whole course for many of you. and you'll be working in teams, which should make it more challenging. You will present this in the 6th week in our chat room. In fact, most of the chat room of week 6 is tied up with coming up with the presentation you have. And we will talk more about it in chat rooms 4 and 5.